Hi. Hello. It's me. The other guy besides Umbra. The other guy. I always consider him my surrogate when I'm exploring worlds, so it's pretty rare that I do vids like this. However, what I wanted to do was chart the course for 2025 before we enter it. This year, Umbra and I saw a lot. But before that, here are the paths that we have walked in 2024. Uh-huh. Yeah, that looks to be about right. That's accurate. Oh my god, Judgment took 5 months. Done looking. Alright then. Well, here's Umbra's planned adventures for 2025. Do note that this schedule is mostly for my reference as the year progresses. I can't wait to see how faithfully I can actually maintain it. First off though, some standard rules. Just like this year, all new adventures begin on the 1st of every month. Oh, and also I'm a college graduate now, which means more free time. We'll see about that. So with that said, I'm going to commit to starting additional adventures on the 16th of every month as well. 2024 was a year that I had limited free time, so I had to prioritize titles that I was interested in. So my plan in 2025 is to be more liberate in what Umbra plays. And so we're starting off the year with January. More like starting off the year in literally 2 days. I'm planning on beginning with Like a Dragon Gaiden, the game that has way too long of a title. I'm not even going to say it. As much as I want to play Lost Judgment, this canonically takes place during the events of, well, Like a Dragon, which is Ichiban's game. So we're going to catch up on the timeline, and from what I hear, this title is quite short, so it should be a good start for the year. If everything goes right, then I have Lost Judgment ready to begin on the 16th, which will start at the midpoint. Entering February, I am planning on starting Persona 4 Arena Ultimax. Finally, after completing P3P, I should have all the context I need to enter into this title. This will also be my first fighting game in a very long time, like half a decade long time, so hopefully I'm not ass. If all goes well, then I plan to proceed with Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne HD Remaster. I swear every time I say that it sounds like I'm rapping. This one will definitely be long though, and quite like Soul Hackers 2, it's a new IP, but a familiar system. Next is the month of March, and I wanted to jump back into Final Fantasy with Crisis Core Reunion. I'm very intrigued as to how this story continues, so I hope my PC allows me to do so. Playing God of War and Uncharted this year really put into perspective how old my GPU is. My setup is from 2016, by the way, with a RTX 1060. Nonetheless, following that, I want to start Neo, The World Ends With You. This is a title that I actually had planned to play this winter after Elden Ring, but due to my academics, I couldn't accommodate it. The style looks really unique, so I'm gonna slot it in here. April then begins and ends with Hogwarts Legacy. This flippin' game has been in my library for so long, and I wanted to play it, but I just know that this game is gonna be big with lots of activities. So I'm allocating the entire month towards it, and it's also a good break from the JRPG marathon that I have going on for the first 3 months of the year. Next up is the month of Devil May Cry 5. No, not funny, but I heard this game is. All I've seen from this title is the fucking Michael Jackson Dante scene, and so I had to buy this game. Hope this is like God of War, where I don't need to play the prior titles. They are on Steam though, which is something God of War doesn't have, so I think I'll give this title a shot and then play them backwards or something if I enjoy the world building. Anyways, for this midpoint, I'm looking at Dead Rising 1, the original, not the remaster they just did. I know, quite a unique title from my regular assortment, but I guess I said that too about Blue Reflection. Dead Rising is interesting, for me particularly, because the game studio is from my hometown, so I want to not only step outside my typical genres, but also play something local. June then arrives and wow, we're already at the midpoint of the year already. Summer is here and calls for a relaxing game of Atelier Rorona, the Alchemist of Arland. I think about 2 Steam sales ago, I purchased the entire franchise, and it's now finally time to start with the Arlen games. I played Ryza 1 and 2 in my own time a long time ago, so I do have some familiarity with the alchemy and synthesis system, so hopefully it's not too overwhelming. For the midpoint of the midpoint, though, of this year, I want to start another new IP with The Legend of Heroes, Trails in the Sky. I played Tokyo Xanadu a year ago, and I loved it. It made me realize I wanted to play more Falcom games, so it's enough delaying and time to start playing. July continues summer with Blue Reflection Second Light. So I watched the anime, and I have to say, very worth it for the world building and a whole lot darker than the first game. It will be interesting to see how this title goes. For the midpoint, I had to choose between continuing the Atelier or Trails series, and I'm gonna go with The Legend of Heroes Trails in the Sky SC. It'll probably be the more shorter and straightforward game of the two, which fits well for a midpoint title. August. Oh boy, August. So this month is always busy because it's con month for me, so I play it easy by tackling a smaller game with Tales of Symphonia. I played Tales of Arise in the DLC earlier this year, and it's quite a smaller JRPG series compared to the former IPs I've covered, at least when it comes to accessibility. If I have time, I plan to finish the first Trails trilogy with The Legend of Heroes, Trails in the Sky, the third. And so begins the last quarter of the year, entering September with Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor. I have both this and the sequel, so I'll try to slot the second one before the end of the year. The midpoint will be Atelier Totori, the Adventurer of Arland. I know, quite a contrast of themes here this month. But then again, we did go from Blue Reflection to Armored Core in November, so it wouldn't have been the first time. Winter is here, with the season of October, and I want to see how a platformer does for my format and give Crash Bandicoot 4, It's About Time, a shot. So I grew up with Spyro and Crash and also Warcraft 3 when I was a kid, and I played the remasters a while back. Not the Warcraft 3 one, by the way. I heard it's actually quite bad. But it's been quite some time, so it'll be like stepping back into a new genre once again. The midpoint will be Atelier Meruru, the Apprentice of Arland. This will be the conclusion of the Atelier games for the year. I know there's still Atelier Lulua, which is part of this arc, but I will most likely not be able to fit it in, so we'll save it for probably the first quarter of 2026, if you can even believe that. November is next, and I'm dedicating this winter to Middle-earth: Shadow of War. Now for some reason this game is like 100 gigabytes, so that's why I'm not taking my chances and focusing solely on this for the month. Thankfully this is also an older title, so I don't have to worry about my graphics card dying. And finally, we made it all the way back around to December. Just like how Persona 5 Royal began the channel again in 2022, I wanted to align these next 2 titles at this time. First will be Persona 5 Tactica. Apparently this game takes place before the next title canonically, despite being released after it, but afterwards I will then play Persona 5 Strikers, which will end the year. And that is the intended route of operations that I will attempt to follow come 2025. One thing to note is that this list was made before the 2024 Winter Steam Sale, in which I typically pick up a lot of new games. I'm confident that any new titles I pick up won't be featured next year, just because there's so much I want to see already. So it's better that I remain focused with this schedule that I've put forward today. Additionally, there will be occasional stream games that I will add to the cinema section of the channel. I'm not sure how many new titles I may get to showcase in 2025, but there will definitely be new content for that category. For now, I rest though, and Umbra and I will see you tomorrow for our annual Midnight Memories. So until then, good night.